For centuries, the question was simple: who gets to sit at the table where decisions are made? For much of history, women were excluded from positions of formal power in government, business, finance, science, and leadership. The fight for representation was not symbolic, it was fundamental. Because who is present in decision making spaces shapes what problems are recognized, what solutions are created, and whose experiences influence the future. Women who came before us understood this. Women like Susan Anthony, who fought for women's rights to vote. Women like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, whose legal work challenged barriers that limited women's participation in education and the professional life. Women across generations who entered industries where they were told they did not belong and created pathways for those who came after them. And because of those efforts, the landscape has changed. Today, compared with previous generations, women have significantly greater representation in education, professional fields, entrepreneurship, leadership pipelines, and public life. But now we have reached a moment where the question is no longer only can women enter the room? The question is, was the room designed for the people we are asking to lead in it? Because representation was always the first step, but representation alone does not guarantee sustainability. For decades, progress focused on opening doors, but we did not always redesign the systems behind those doors. Many organizations today still operate on assumptions inherited from the industrial era, an era designed around standardization, predictability, and measuring productivity through time and output. But the modern economy has changed. Today, value is increasingly created through creativity, innovation, collaboration, decision making, relationships, and human intelligence. And yet, many workplaces still reward the very behaviors that create exhaustion. Constant availability, long hours, individual competition, the inability to disconnect, and the belief that sacrifice is the price of success. So we have to ask, if the most valuable resource in the modern economy is human potential, why are our systems often designed in ways that deplete it? This is where the conversation about women's leadership becomes a conversation about the future of work, because women's advancement has revealed a deeper challenge. Women have demonstrated ambition, women have demonstrated capability, women have demonstrated leadership. The question is not whether women can succeed. The question is, can our system support success without requiring people to sacrifice their health, families, and long term potential? Research continues to show that women still carry disproportionate responsibilities related to caregiving and unpaid labor globally. At the same time, organizations across industries are facing challenges around burnout, retention, employee well being, and leadership sustainability. And this challenge is not limited to women. Men are also experiencing the consequences of outdated definitions of success. Pressure to constantly perform, provide, compete, and suppress vulnerability. This is not a woman's problem. This is a human systems problem. Because when a system limits one group, we often call it a diversity issue. When the same system begins affecting everyone, we call it a workforce crisis. The next evolution of leadership requires a different question. Instead of asking, how do we help people adapt to systems that are not working? We need to ask, how do we redesign systems so people can perform at their highest potential? This is the foundation behind my work and the creation of femininity in business. Femininity in business is not about creating separate rules for women. It is about recognizing that quality is historically undervalued in traditional business models, such as collaboration, adaptability, intuition, emotional intelligence, creativity, and sustainable decision making are not weaknesses. They are leadership capabilities. The future of business will require integration, not replacing traditional strengths, but expanding the definition of what effective leadership looks like. So, what does redesign actually look like? First, we need to redefine productivity. For decades, productivity has often been measured by visible effort. Who stayed the longest, who answered messages the fastest, who appeared the busiest. But the future of performance requires measuring what actually creates value: innovation, quality decisions, strategic thinking, problem solving, impact. The question should shift from how many hours did someone work to what meaningful outcomes did they create. Second, we need to redefine leadership. Traditional leadership models often emphasize authority, control, and individual achievement, but modern challenges are too complex for one person to have all the answers. The strongest leaders today are not only those who know the most, they are those who can create environments where others can contribute their best thinking. Leadership is no longer only about having power, it is about multiplying human potential. Third, we need to design organizations around the reality that humans have different seasons of life. People are not machines. They have responsibilities outside of work. They experience change. They have moments of growth, challenge, creativity, and recovery. Organizations that understand human reality will not become less competitive. They will become more resilient because sustainable performance is not the opposite of high performance. It is the foundation of it. The women's movement taught us an important lesson. Access matters. Representation matters. Having a voice matters. But the next chapter requires something deeper. We cannot simply place more people inside systems that were never designed for sustainable human performance. We must evolve the systems themselves because the goal was never only to help women reach the table. The goal is to create a better table, one where leadership is not built on exhaustion, one where ambition and well being are not opposites, one where families, organizations, and economies can thrive together. The future of leadership is not about choosing between performance and humanity. The future of leadership is understanding that humanity is the source of performance. And the question we must ask ourselves is, are we ready to redesign the systems that shape our future?